Bigby's Glory of Giants presents a barbarian subclass of epic proportion. But is this giant barbarian able to stand tall among other titanic barbarian subclass options? Today we will explore just that. Hi, I'm Al, and you're watching Short Rest. Path of the Giant Barbarians are those who draw among the same primal powers as giants themselves. As you would expect, these barbarians can use their rage to grow in size and conjure elemental powers. Regardless, many of these barbarians show the nature of their path with hints of elemental power in their appearance. This could manifest as lightning crackling around your axe, or your eyes burning with red fire. It is also typical for barbarians of this path to be oversized compared to other members of their ancestry. At 3rd level, when you take this subclass, you gain Giant's Power. You learned the Druidcraft or Thaumaturgic Cantrip, and you can also speak, read, and write Giant. This feature mainly works to support the fantasy of the barbarian. One way it does that is it shows that you have some magical power infused within you, which is not always typical of many other types of barbarians. Though, in terms of utility, the awarded cantrip and language will be a little bit limited. So I do have to give this feature a 2 out of 5. This ability is a little bit underwhelming, but luckily it is not the only feature you obtain at 3rd level. You also gain Giant's Havoc. Giant's Havoc awards you with 2 main benefits while raging. The first ability is Crushing Throw. When you make a successful ranged attack with a thrown weapon using your strength, you can add your rage damage bonus to the attack's damage roll. I like that this is here. It makes thrown weapons a much more attractive and viable option, which evokes the feel of giants in a great way. While it is true that I do wish that this just came natively with every barbarian, the reality is that it does not. Since your thrown weapon doesn't return to your hand until 6th level, I don't see this being used except in a pinch or more specific builds where you're throwing javelins a lot. Second ability this feature grants you while raging is Giant Stature. You also become large size along with whatever you are wearing, so long as there is enough room for you to increase in size. Also, your reach increases by 5 feet. Something that I find really funny about this ability is that the reach increase is not dependent on your size actually increasing. From a power standpoint, I'm glad that these things are independent of one another, but it does take some mental gymnastics to justify. Such as a barbarian in a confined space not being able to grow a size category but just elongating their arms to justify the reach. That being said, I would have been disappointed if a size increase was not apparent in your 3rd level feature, as it gives the most important part of being a giant, being an overall big boy. Also, a 5-foot reach increase can be really helpful, particularly if you're playing on a battle map rather than Theater of the Mind. Also, if a spellcaster casts Enlarge on you, you can even get to huge size here, really tapping into that giant fantasy. That being said, I wish some of the benefits from the Enlarge Reduce spell were present here, like the 1d4 increase in damage or advantage on strength checks. That would have really set it over the top for me. Even though Giant Havoc is fun and thematic, I think there is still something to be gained here in terms of power, and a little bit too much time was spent on making flavorful incremental increases rather than flavorful abilities that also guarantee you to make a noticeable difference when compared to other barbarians. So I do have to give this feature overall a 3 out of 5. Next up, at 6th level, you get Elemental Cleaver. Now that we already got those size increases on our side, it is time to bring in some of those elemental motifs. At the time you enter your rage, one of the weapons you are holding is infused with an elemental damage type. You can choose either acid, cold, fire, thunder, or lightning. Additionally, your infused weapon deals an extra 1d6 of the chosen type. It gains the thrown property, and when you do throw it, it reappears in your hand the instant after it hits or misses the target. The normal range of the weapon is 20 feet, and the long range is 60 feet. Additionally, you can change the weapon's damage type with a bonus action. Yes, this is everything I was hoping for from the first ability. With this ability, your battle axe can crackle with lightning, and you can throw it up to 60 feet away and feel good about doing it, since it does more damage than a normal battle axe, and it returns to your hand immediately. This is honestly so cool, and I really love this ability. It shores up one of the barbarian's biggest weaknesses, ranged combat, and it does it in a way that is satisfying and fun. I'm also happy to see that this damage type can be changed throughout the battle. This helps overcome resistances, from enemies without metagaming too much or feeling bad if you pick an incorrect damage type at the start of the battle. Also, if you're fighting multiple enemies with unique resistances from one another, you can easily switch between these types of damage. The only miss here is the fact you can't Reckless Attack while throwing. Reckless Attack would have been a great way to mitigate the disadvantage at long range, but Reckless Attack requires the attack to be made with a melee attack, which is a bit of a bummer here. Regardless, this feature is exactly why I would pick a Path of the Giant Barbarian. It builds off of the 3rd level ability to give everything I would want in a way that feels mechanically worth it. I give this feature a 5 out of 5. If you're enjoying the video so far, please consider leaving a like so I know to make more like it. Next up, we have Mighty Impel, which comes at 10th level and impresses me just as much as the last ability. As a bonus action, while you are raging, you can choose one medium or smaller creature within your reach and move it to an unoccupied space that you can see within 30 feet of yourself. An unwilling creature must succeed on a strength saving throw. The DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your strength modifier to avoid the effect. If at the end of this movement, the thrown creature isn't on a surface or a liquid that can support it, the creature falls, taking damage as normal and landing prone. In other words, you can yeet enemies and allies alike while you are raging. In every D&D campaign I have played in with a Barbarian and at least one small-sized PC, at some point the Barbarian wants to throw the Halfling or the Gnome during the battle. This feature allows you to do so with ease. Additionally, you can forcibly throw enemies into precarious situations. This goes doubly so if your DM is one who often puts very interesting and dynamic combats where you can throw an enemy into lava or off a cliff face. After the 3rd level ability, I have no doubt that I would love playing a 6th level Barbarian, and I would pick this subclass just for these abilities alone. Throwing a creature is such a fun way to support the vibe of a giant barbarian, and I am so happy to see it here. However, there are some strikes against it. The first is that you have to be raging to do this. This means that it is harder to justify when outside of combat, since you're going to be a little bit more protective of your rages. This would have been a really nice ability to employ a lot in exploration. Also, it is a bonus action, meaning that you can't do it the same turn you enter your rage. Additionally, you will be running into many creatures that are large or bigger size categories, meaning that this will be a dead feature during those battles. Okay, but it is no secret that this feature is a great use of your bonus action. But how can we cheese it? Well, if your DM hasn't outright banned flying races yet, especially the Aarakocra, then you can get some pretty great utility here. Say you start your turn within 5 feet of an enemy. As an Aarakocra, you have a fly speed of 50 feet. Let's say you spend one of your attacks grappling the enemy. Then you spend all of your movement carrying the creature directly up into the sky. This would allow you to go 25 feet high. Now that you're 25 feet in the air, you might as well get an extra hit in with your extra attack. Finally, you can use your bonus action to throw a creature 30 feet further into the sky. When they fall, they will drop 55 feet, meaning they're going to take 5d6 bludgeoning damage and they will land prone. This allows advantage on melee attacks for your allies. Sure, this requires a successful grapple and a failed strength save on their part, but even if they succeed on the save and they aren't thrown, they're stuck in the sky grappled with you. Assuming they can't fly themselves, they are unlikely to try to break that grapple, meaning you can fly even higher your next turn for even more damage. Even if you don't pick Aarakocra, you can start your turn by throwing the creature directly 30 feet up. Using Xanathar's falling rules, this means they will immediately descend, and they will take 3d6 bludgeoning damage and be prone, meaning that your next 2 melee attacks will be at advantage without causing the use of Reckless Attack. If you can't tell yet, I really love this ability, but I do have to give it a 4 out of 5. It is nearly perfect. The only thing I would do to make it better is allow it to be used independently of your rage, or help a little bit with your bonus action economy. The last feature you get is called Demiurgic Colossus, and it is warded at 14th level. The primordial power of your rage intensifies. When you rage, your reach increases by 10 feet. Your size category can increase to large or huge, depending on your choice, and you can use your mighty Impel to move creatures that are large or smaller. In addition, the extra damage dealt by your elemental Cleaver feature increases to 2d6. As you can see, this is building on all of your prior features and scaling them power-wise. I think this is a smart decision and helps keep the Barbarian in line with other martial classes at this level. Even though it is not the most creative or inspired ability, I am really glad to see it here. Being better at all of those cool things that you got early is important. I particularly like you being able to be huge size. This really helps support the mighty Impel feature, as you can throw large size creatures now. And the reach increase of 10 feet is honestly pretty crazy, especially if you're wielding a polearm such as a glaive or a halberd and have taken the polearm master feat. Well, I wish they did something with the thrown weapon features for those who really liked that part of the subclass, like increasing the range of your weapons or something like that. It also feels like a little bit more could have been done with the elemental side that giants tend to get. Like, elemental magic ability would be nice. Maybe something like what we see in the feats that are also presented in this book, like the Rune Crafter or the Strike of the Giants feat. All in all, I really enjoy this subclass. It has been a bit of a slow start for me, but it does really evoke the overall feeling of being a barbarian drawing from Power of Giants. I would say, if this is the vibe that you're going for, you wouldn't be disappointed. Or maybe you just really want to make thrown weapons work, or just be running around the battlefield chucking your enemies about, then this works just as good. There are some nitpicky things here and there, but I would be happy running this subclass as a player, or as a DM trying to think of creative ways I can really help this barbarian pay off their abilities. So I give the Path of the Giant Barbarian a final score of 4 out of 5. If you found this at all helpful, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on your next short rest.